All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is June 13th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Okay, let's go take a look at some charts today. Had some news overnight, and the big news was the nation of Israel made a strike on the nation of Iran. And they struck the nuclear facilities.
Well, you should have told me ahead of time. I would have closed mine and bought long.
Mainly, Iran has been threatening to use them and wishing
like
for Israel's total annihilation. So Israel felt threatened by it, and they just took them out. So
and
I'm sure Iran is probably shooting missiles at them right now. And probably will over the whole weekend.
TC2000.
We'll see what happens here.
I'm
sure they're going to want to retaliate.
I'm going to switch computers.
All right. No one likes to get spanked by little brother, so that's what it looks like to Iran. All right?
AutoZone.
So we'll see what happens. I just hope other nations don't pile on. I hope it just stays like a clean fight between the two of them.
What am I looking at?
Iran does outnumber Israel as far as population and armed forces, so Israel's going to have its hands full. I mean, trying to take care of the Gaza Strip with Hamas in there.
It's not like I do it every day.
Mainly all of Hamas has
really
come
not
from
computer
funded
literate.
from Iran. So
I really am not.
You know, they're fighting a battle on both sides. They got the Gaza Strip on one side, and then they've got Iran on the other. So
be extremely dangerous.
All right, let's go take a look at some charts. All right, could be a wild weekend with the LA riots and everything else that's going on. Okay, SPY on the 10-minute chart. So far, we got a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. Okay, under VWAP, 10-minute downtrend under VWAP. And we have, what else do we have? We have on the 2-hour chart, we have
I'm not.
Let me just
I'm not too worried about it because it was all.
One right there.
It's all been set up
2-hour chart
over at Falcon.
And
I just now got a
2-hour
text
downtrend coming.
I should be able just to.
Doug, he's not going to make it back.
I mean,
today's candle
he's
looks
waiting
like
on a
is a lower high and a lower low.
Hopefully.
Probably going to close underneath the trap, but over the rising.
Maybe they'll get him in today.
There's one program I use, which
look at it with the quadrants
ways to get around it.
But we're still up in
I
quadrants.
contacted them.
Camtasia.
That's the recording program that I use, and that's my
we haven't
drawing
broken
tool
the 17 yet. We're over the all-time high in
Camtasia.
That's the pink line.
In their wisdom,
we're coming
I've
through
read
the down
years ago,
line.
they decided to pull the drawing
it looks
tools
like
We're
we're
still
closing
bullish.
out
We're
here
still
on
holding
the
the
lows.
higher ground. We're still consolidating
which
on
makes
top
sense.
of prior
So I
consolidation.
use two
That's
Camtasia
bullish,
programs.
Right? We're moving up,
I'm
and we've
not
held
worried
the higher
about getting
ground.
the
That's always
newest
a bullish
because I
recipe right
pay
there.
for it, so I'm not
SPY
worried about
still
getting that
looking
one.
good, all right?
But the
Daily chart
2020
is still in an uptrend.
And Israel
2-day
saying
chart
they're
is
not done with attacks.
still in a
It's going to
downtrend,
continue.
but not moving down. It's moving
I
up.
emailed them
holding
today,
the higher
and they said
ground.
no problem.
Same
They
with
gave
the
me the
3-day
Israel's going to
chart.
attack everybody.
Same with the
apparently.
weekly chart.
And it's crazy, but
Monthly
that's my
chart
biggest
never got in
concern.
a downtrend.
It seems
had to
like
take
probably
out
the
this
most-
low below the
Trump is
17.
behind it.
Probably the
never
least,
got there.
should be the
Monthly
least of
is
my
still
claims
in
to
an
have been
but
aware
it's
ahead
my
of time.
largest
Okay.
concern.
So what am I
Because I
looking
use
for
it
to
drawing tools.
And
happen
he's using it as a negotiating
over
tool.
the next
So
2 or 3
hard to
weeks?
say what,
Didn't expect
what happens over the
So
weekend.
that really
airstrike
has been my.
He should say
inside
that,
of Iran. Wish that didn't
truthfully,
happen, but
I
it
don't
is what
think
it is.
It is.
Okay, we have the
Iran
consolidation.
poses much of a threat
All right, so we moved up
to Israel.
and we started
systemically.
channeling out between 594,
So
593, 584,
Outraise hell in the
583.
Strait of
Okay,
Hormuz.
and we channeled out into a
And
consolidation
potentially,
pattern.
Yeah,
We
YouTube.
finally made a
Shipping
higher
through
low
the Red
and
Sea.
broke up
is
into
an
the next
amazing
consolidation
source.
It's not
channel,
like
which is about
information.
593,
That
594,
That
up to
heavily
605,
on what
604.
Israel says.
Okay, and I'm expecting
Yeah,
But we are
more
here.
of
The
that
lows
to
kind of
happen.
a
Now,
dreaded
you can
eights
see
on a
we came
5-minute
back here, we got as
basis.
high as,
And,
how did
just
we
up
get today? I
off
think
the
we got up to
lows
6,
on the daily
maybe
and
to
the
602.
SPY.
Hold on just a
Q's a little bit better, not as
Minimize
much
this,
body
see how
towards
high
the
we
low.
got. today.
You know, I don't know, Sean.
Diamonds,
Let's take a look
a little
at
bit up
what is
off
it,
the low,
Epic
but a much
Pen?
uglier candle.
Epic Pen is free, but
highs
I don't
today
like it.
got
up
I mean,
to
it works, okay?
candlesticks.
602.
And it
that
works
is what it
good,
is.
but I don't like it.
But in terms
so we
of
got all the way up
support,
to
Probably
we
mostly
just
because
dropped some
I'm-
lines.
602.
I'm used to
drag them.
using the
All
Camtasia
right, so
one.
you can
more
see
than
that's what we
we've
got
got-
today, and you can
It's
see
not
that's
as
where
crisp.
price
Potential
It's not as,
support.
headed up towards that direction.
right in
We
here,
are fading
someplace
back
maybe
now. I
just
expect
below the
price
lows
to
or just
probably
at the lows.
But
rip
there's
back
probably
up
something out there. I don't
early
mind
next
caves
week,
or
and then
something.
make a
That's
wave
do the
down
same
here.
thing.
I'm not
Right?
after
And then I'm
something
looking for
free,
later
but
in the week,
maybe
come
there's
Wednesday,
a little more
we're going to
room
have
work
for the
FOMC
keys
is going
is the
to
Camtasia.
give
drop
us
before
whether
there's
they're going
a
to give us a rate
support
cut
level.
or
You know
not.
me, I hate
I
change.
think a lot
Yeah,
of
not
it is
terrible.
probably
I
going to
mean,
be
don't do
dependent
change
on
very well.
trade
So,
talks.
of course,
If
with
those
the
are all
change
wrapped
from
up,
the
I
Camtasia
think,
drawing tools to
And
Mr. Powell can
diamonds.
finally,
Let's see what we've got in
it
terms
would
of
be
decide to
potential
make a
totally
rate
support
cut
below
or
there.
not make a rate cut.
I just do
He
not
does
like
not
change.
have trade
Not
talks
as much.
and surprise tariffs outlined or scheduled. Okay, I can see.
I guess I'm going to say
probably
that diamond
Mr.
has
Powell
more
will
downside
just
there.
say the economy's moving good.
And this
He
is
likes
kind of what I
inflation,
expected
and
If
going
I
he
had
into
my
probably
the
will
way,
say
they would put
you
a
can't
seems
make a
silly
decision
put a
yet
stop on
until
AI till I'm
adding
dead
new
gone.
positions
the
or
administration
not.
all that
finalizes
hedging or
these
taking
trade
profits
talks.
going into
I actually think
Yeah.
that's probably what's going to
geopolitical
happen on
turmoil
Wednesday.
for the weekend.
All right,
So that's kind
that's
of what
what
I
I'm
think
expecting.
expected
Again,
it
I'm
just
expecting
as much,
consolidation over
and
prior
it makes
consolidation.
perfect sense.
Now, price is not going to
But,
move in a
you know,
straight
Black,
line.
the other
would
thing
be
we have
a
to keep in mind
583
is we're
clear up to
only
593. Okay,
Ask
it's going to
yourself
waffle
why.
around. It's going to
2%,
speed up. It's going to slow
2.5%
down
from the all-time
All right,
high.
it's going to
So,
jump. It's going to gap. It's
That's
going
a
to do
nice,
all
you
the
know,
things that price
relatively
normally
speaking,
does.
nice
But it will
trend.
probably make its
Everything
way
out of the
like,
world is nice.
like it did from here up to
let's see.
605,
Nice
604,
pullbacks.
maybe even 602. So I can foresee price,
Well,
moving. It came
more,
down
why,
as low as
why,
591 last night.
why
And it
was
moved all the
we
way back
trading
to
it
to
more?
do this
602.
till
I
we
would
got
think
his text. So I
probably
apologize.
doesn't
I
finish
got
going all
prepared
the way
here.
to
Excellent,
605.
Get it in
It's
just a
probably
second.
going
Let's
to
see
head
what
back
we
down
got.
to
Very nice
593,
run up here.
591.
Nice and green,
And then make a bounce
nice and
there.
red.
And it'll probably be
I don't think there's
Now,
anything of
come
value
back
worth
up.
talking
news
about
that,
today.
Come back up
Iran
over the
other
probably
than the
is
mid-morning
ineffective
stuff
with
that's
the
already been
golden
baked
several
in.
dome or
days
the
and a
gold
pullback
shield
run.
or whatever
Consumer
the
sentiment is
shield
way up.
that they have.
Just a very
that
nice
deflects
chart.
missiles
Good
and
chart,
everything,
too.
Okay, so
Spend all
price
And,
action probably bounced
so
right
are
back
expectations.
up to 605,
But inflation,
602 area, and then I'm looking for maybe a half
expectations
back and then a rip up.
are still at
for more
5.1%.
consolidation
We're almost there.
over
And
prior
for the year, for 1 year.
Come on down.
And,
Everything was looking good. All right, we'll see what happens. All right?
5 year is
I'd
just
like today
down
to finish
very
strong.
slightly.
Come
I
on.
See
mean,
where
the
it
1 year was
finishes.
a dramatic drop from 6.6 to 5.1.
Got down as low
But
as
the
we
1
are
year just
at low of
ticked
day
down
right now. Okay, this is the low of day
1/10.
Hope you don't do that.
for price action.
So let's see what we've
SPY
got coming on next
so far.
week.
So let's look at QQQ.
Monday is the OPEC monthly
QQQ
report.
on the
They'll
daily
probably
chart.
talk about
You can see
the
lower high, lower low,
Iran-Israel
closing
situation
underneath, bullish trap. But
as
over
well,
the rising
but
17,
certainly
that's
their
bullish.
production
Up here
status
in
and so
quadrant
forth.
four, that's
And then
bullish.
we've got
Still,
There's still
moving
some
up, holding the
market
higher
pretty
ground.
good.
That's
for
bullish.
June.
TGB.
Over the all-time high of the VWAP.
Tuesday,
that's bullish.
we've got retail
As long as it
sales,
stays up here in
WPM,
quadrant four
import,
and stays
exports,
over the
Reddit,
17,
industrial
that's bullish
production,
up there. Making higher
business and
lows,
retail
higher highs,
inventories, and
that's
then
an
of course
uptrend.
after the
Take a look at
close, the API
IWM.
weekly
Slumberjay.
crude
If
stocks.
Slumberjay can
Wednesday,
All
we
right,
have Bell and
IWM got a lower high and a lower low, just like
I
the
might
others.
have to buy that again.
Closing underneath bearish
It's the
cross
18th? I
and
thought
underneath
Wednesday
the
was the
17
19th.
and underneath the
Couldn't
uptrend
afford
line
not to take
and
the
underneath
profits.
the
Losing
all-time
my
high
mind.
of
Too much
VWAP,
risk.
Okay.
but still sitting
So,
on the midpoint.
for the 18th, we do
still
have,
moving up
MOS,
and holding that higher ground.
Building permits,
Okay,
housing
that's bullish
starts, jobless
by
claims.
nature,
J&J,
but the position
early
of
this
things
week
where we
because
are,
of the
we
holiday.
just moved down
NTR,
Early
and we
next
gave
week
it up.
because of the
So we're
holiday.
just neutral.
brand new breakout. Watch
Okay,
for
we're not in the
triple
upper
to
third,
rest inside
not in the
day.
lower third.
And
So
then
it's just neutral.
the
Right, just hanging out right here. at the
Q2 interest
uptrend line.
projections
Okay,
for
IWM just
current year,
neutral.
first year,
Don't
second
like
year.
to close below the 17. By the way,
FOMC
We'll see what
statement
happens. happens with that.
And
hope they don't get any
some
follows.
stop plots as well
Nice
as
All right,
inside
Diamond
today.
Dow getting the same
FOMC
thing, lower
statement
high,
and
lower low,
decision.
closing underneath a bearish bearish
Nice.
cross.
Probably
Closing
more
underneath
whining
the
from the
17,
White House as well.
Closing underneath the all-time high in
Because they
BWOB,
sure as hell aren't
closing
going to do a
underneath
2%
the
rate cut.
uptrend line.
Go Dynamo.
Still in
Thursday
the
we
upper
have,
third, so that's bullish
moving
up
up.
there in the upper third. All right, it's moving up and it's
Holiday?
holding the higher ground.
Mobile.
Still making higher lows and
I
higher
don't really
highs.
believe
Has it made
maybe
any
they're doing
lower
the Fed's balance
lower
sheet
lows
after the
yet?
close.
Okay.
FANG.
If price does make lower
I'm
lows,
sure they're not doing jobs
that will
claims
break
on
all of the
Thursday.
downtrends in all
Finally,
of
on
the
Friday,
indexes
we have
here.
Philly Fed.
We'll see what happens. So far,
the leading
price
indicators,
has been moving up
and that's about
holding
it
the
to
higher
close out
ground
next
up
week.
here.
From
Still
Oclo.
in the upper third, that's bullish. Diamond Dow and in
So
an
that's what
uptrend.
we've got on the
Let's
Let's take a
horizon.
look at
I suppose I can
URA.
look at earnings as well.
FNGB up in quadrant 4
Starbucks is
is
still
bullish.
holding up.
Lower high, like I said,
Cardo.
everybody got a lower high and a lower low. Closing underneath
PLTR.
a bearish
Come on,
cross or a
PLTR.
bullish trap. Over the 17 EMA, some of them over the 17, some of them under.
I really want
Up in quadrant 4,
GGLO.
that's bullish. Over the uptrend line, that's bullish. Moving up, holding that higher ground, that's
I
bullish.
saw
Got a lot of
some
bullish
kind of
gap
news
ups.
flash or something
Now
on my
getting filled
phone.
by
I
the
don't
bears,
know what
that's
it was
bullish.
for.
So the 16th,
Price
we've got
action,
Lennar.
you can see right here.
The two spoiled
Over
brats.
this
about it.
all-time high in
Before.
BWOB, that's bullish.
Oh, no, that's
Now,
after the close.
If we
So
do
nothing
get
before.
a quick
So maybe
pullback
Tesla
to,
will be
let's
back in
just
its
say,
On Tuesday, we have
550.
Jabil
back moving again.
and
Right.
10.
if the bulls snap it right
Before.
back up, that's
Lazy
that's
boy
good.
after.
All right. If they can't, then that's not going to be good. All right.
Wednesday,
But I
we have
can see
GMS
we're
No.
long overdue
and Corn
for a
Ferry.
snap
Yeah,
back
yeah, no.
to
Yeah.
the
Smith &
550
Wesson.
area, just to test
After,
this
there should be nothing
all-time high
Thursday.
Yeah,
in
there.
VWAP, and then rip back up through.
And then Friday, we have Kroger's,
our trend
Accenture,
back up here
Darden,
in quadrant 4.
CarMax,
We'll see
all
what
before.
happens, okay? So it would be
And
normal for
nothing
price
after.
to pull back.
So it's kind of a light week
Smack
next
this
week.
and then
Kroger
rip
is
back up.
probably the biggest
Still up.
read-through.
We'll see what happens, all right? So
to
there's SPY on the daily
SHLS.
chart. And with all the
Anything
news of the riots
broad.
and the airstrikes,
Some great looking
Economy
that could
bullish charts
probably
out there.
happen, all right?
Run.
That could probably happen.
GPR.
We'll see
So
what happens here.
that's about all
There's
we've
SPY
got
on the
going
daily
there.
chart.
SSR.
Just went through
How's
FNGB.
Cisco doing?
Let's take a look at
Glad I
T2122.
didn't buy it.
Price
Going back
action
to,
here, we came
our
out
chart.
of the buy
Close
zone,
to.
straight into
Depends
the
how you
seller's
draw
chop
it,
zone.
but
Found our way,
that could
climbed
be
our
an
way
issue.
back into
We
the
could have
buyer's
broken
chop zone and
the
ended up
downtrend,
closing out
or
the day
broken the,
inside the seller's
the bullish trend.
chop zone here. Okay? Again, a lot
So
of
that's
the
worth
big
keeping an
point
eye
that
on.
we have
But we
here,
do have that
just like
support level
yesterday,
right
we got a
below us.
lower high.
So
And we got
we'll see what
another
happens in
lower
terms of
high,
where we
okay?
gap and what
we
we
don't
do
want to
with the
keep
open
this trend going.
on
We need
Monday
to
based on
break this
what happens
trend
this
by
weekend.
making some,
Of course, we've
higher
got
lows, all right, alongside of some higher highs.
we've
Right
got
now, we're
the
consistently making
political,
lower highs, which
gold
is not a
Yeah, I'm going to hold my
recipe for
TQQQ.
success
Looks
for
like
the
about
bulls.
21%
All right, so
to
there's
the good side.
what they
T21,
do
still
to
think
the
that runs
budget,
down
with
a little
raising the
bit.
debt
T21,
ceiling, and
price
well,
action here, price
machinations
moves
will
up,
happen with
holds
that.
the higher
Good
ground. That's
or bad.
bullish. Up
I
over
doubt
the
they do
200
anything
SMA.
about that this
That's
weekend,
bullish.
so
Up
that's
over
probably
a
I'll
prior
take that
all-time
risk.
high. That's
I'll
also
mention
bullish.
next week, probably
Got a
going
lot of
into the
bullish
holiday,
gap ups here. See
and they will
this?
probably
Not
jet out
getting
of
filled by
town
the bears. That is a bullish
so they can
environment.
take
Anytime
a
price
4-day weekend
gaps up,
next week.
consolidates over to
So
the
there
right,
may be
holding
some
that
news
higher ground.
Monday
That's
through
bullish.
Wednesday on that.
We got a bullish gap here, 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 here. And you can see
That's
price gaps
about
up and
it
holds
right
the higher
now.
ground.
It looks like
Candle action for today, okay?
on the SPY.
A lot of buying, all right? And then some selling in the
Oracle
afternoon.
is
like
our,
they are,
because of earnings,
not
is
sure
our
what
big
they want, all right? But still
big
moving
leader
up,
there.
still showing a bull flag, still up over this
Yeah,
rising
nothing
200
here
SMA, up over this
of large
all-time
scale.
high, prior all-time high right there.
Tesla having
that's
a great day as well.
23, making
but
higher
Oracle,
lows and
is really
higher
the-
highs.
the
That's
big
an
mover there.
uptrend, and that's bullish, holding
on
that
the
higher
Qs,
ground. Again, you've got consolidation over
same story.
prior
It's
consolidation. That's
driving
bullish.
things up.
I wonder if we
Okay,
could
anytime
NVIDIA
you've got
causing a drag.
50% retracement. That'll
Okay,
And
over
we got down
prior
there. That will push the market
consolidation,
to a
down
little
pretty
it's
good.
extent.
bullish up there.
Is
okay? Again, bullish
There's
gap
also-
ups, hold the
I've
higher
never
ground.
really-
Throwing the
That's
anchor out there
bullish.
to
All
slow
right, so
that
there's
down.
T21, 23,
T21, 23 with anything on
All right,
there.
we're gonna
Hi,
hit the
Judy.
3-bar
you-
chart.
Thank you very
It's
much.
gonna look very
And yes,
similar.
all the fathers
Okay,
have
price moves
a
up,
great Father's
holds
Day.
the higher ground. That's bullish. Okay, you got lower lows, but we also
I don't know
made
why it
here's
would
a
be
high
coming to
here.
the close.
We're making higher
We're taking
highs.
from this
So that's
top
an uptrend
down
up
to
over
that
this
bottom.
fading 200
Keeping in
SMA.
mind
That's bullish.
that
up over this
There we go.
prior all-time
only
high.
point
So we
That's
did
also
come up off
bullish.
pointing to
the
Price
lows.
action
top
and the
and
structure
bottom.
SPY
price
back
action,
to
And
price moving up,
an
holding the
actual
higher
doji
ground.
here in
All
the
of that
Qs,
is bullish. all right?
and
I can
diamonds
see
Keep an eye
having the
on
weakest
price
day of all
as more news
of
is
the majors, I should
released
say.
look where we stopped.
see
in the
what,
Middle East. And,
the problem was there.
throughout
We
the
came up to.
pretty
municipalities
broad spread
across
on
America
CBX
with
and
the,
where we
J&J.
consolidated.
Not sure why
Alright,
J&J
so
stayed
there's
green,
T21,
but
23,
Chevron you can
FNGB.
Look where we
Yeah,
gapped.
that's
see
an
right
oil
here,
play, and
today's
that makes
price
sense.
action. Selling
But going the
a
other
little,
way, Visa
side
having a
market
rough
break
day.
right
Somebody
there,
had mentioned,
and then
and
more
I think it was
selling
another
into the
trading
little
room,
consolidation
that,
right there.
holding
Walmart
this
and
upper ground
so-
up there, and
it
holding
may have
true
been Costco, it
to
may
the
have
bull
been
flag,
Target. I
right?
can't
Where
remember
it's
what they said.
buy
But two
price
major
moves up
retailers
and holding that higher
had
ground.
announced they're
You
going
can
to
see
start
we hit
I
bottom
think
there
taking stable
and
coins
bounced, and we
to
hit bottom here today
So-
and bounced, and we hit bottom
to
here today,
alleviate
and now we're starting to
customers.
Look where we
linger.
came
Linger
down
is not
to.
Well,
good.
they pay
Came up
Okay, you
to
linger too long, and
consolidated.
investors give up hope.
credit card fees.
All right, or give up
So
strategy.
I don't know where that goes, but
All
that
right, and
seems
they
like
abandon
abandon
gapped.
their positions.
in the long,
and selling
slow
begets more
march
selling. All right, so don't need to
ran
see
up to that
high.
50%,
towards-
But anyways,
broke out.
there's FNGB.
Now we're looking
we
for
watch
a pullback.
FNGB
A,
because it's got
cryptocurrency.
I like
10 of the
that.
most
based,
heavily
I
rated
I think I could
securities
like that.
inside the
Was it
FNGB.
Amazon?
And
They
again,
are so
these things just
powerful,
amaze me.
so
And
heavily
we
rated
took a
in the
bottom or a
indexes
top
like the SPY
and a bottom.
the QQQ,
Everything else in the middle
that they
is
tend
Anyway,
to, when they
I
move
was
as a pack,
surprised to
those
hear that.
10
It's just where it
securities
is.
in the
Just
There's
wasn't
nothing about that.
stablecoins aren't
all right,
really
they
a thing.
can rip
Just the top
that,
and bottom.
Bitcoin
index
how
it
it's just
is
amazing how
into
that
the same
lines up.
direction that they're
mainstream
moving.
and broad
So we'll
spread.
see what happens.
So,
FNGB.
anyway,
but
yeah.
Still
stable
consolidating
coins are
up here
really
bullishly.
Let's go lower.
All right, let's take a look at a
Alrighty.
few
Hey,
sectors.
thanks everyone.
Let's take that
Thank you,
off.
I guess
V1.
newer
I appreciate
and
it very much.
less
Very, very much.
established,
Very much.
although they do have
Thanks everybody for
First
being
sector
here.
we'll hit up
We'll
is
see you Monday morning.
because they've
One
been
way or
having
another,
control
I'll be
over
here
financial
Monday.
records.
I will bring out the
All
laptop
right,
if I
nice,
have to.
nice
But
work
anyway,
on
that's,
XLE, high, low, high,
I will
high,
be
over
here
the bullish
Monday morning.
trap.
That's
I'm not
fine.
really worried
That may
about
be
it.
what,
Over the
what caused the
rising
drag on
17,
these
bullish.
I may
Over
not have
downtrend
programs
line 1
running, but I
and
know I'll
downtrend
have
line 2 that's
TC2000
bullish.
running.
Curious.
Making an attack
Yeah,
on
MasterCard
the
had the same
all-time
bad day.
high anchored VWAP. That's the
Logging in the
pink line.
room
That's
is
bullish.
that has
Okay,
Okay,
are
we're
there
not
any
in
other
the lowest third,
questions or
so
anything I
it's
can,
not neutral.
can speak
All
to?
right,
for
you
you.
guys have a
Excuse
wonderful,
me, it's
wonderful
not
weekend.
bearish.
Stay
We're not
safe.
in the upper
Remember,
third, so it's
I
not
believe
bullish.
it's Thursday is
So
a
we're just kind
holiday,
of neutral.
so
Again, you move
that may
down
throw
and
a
you
couple
give it up.
wrenches
That's just
into
neutral.
next week.
That's where we are right
Alrighty?
now. We're
You
just
guys
neutral.
take care.
right
Have a
here.
great weekend.
Okay, if
Price
not,
action,
everybody have a
getting
great
held down
Father's
by
Day weekend.
The all-time high anchored
Enjoy
VWAP.
yourselves.
Maybe if we
Hopefully
bang
Doug
on
gets
the,
his tooth taken
on
care
the
of.
hull underneath it
And
for a little
we'll
while.
be back here one way or the
Eventually,
other.
we could find
Monday
a
morning,
soft spot to break
and we'll see
through.
you all
We'll see
then.
what happens.
Take care.
This is the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. So price not in the lower third, so it's not bearish. Not in the upper third, so it's not bullish. So it's kind of in the middle here, so that's neutral. All right. Again, making higher lows, obviously higher highs. Okay, so that's an uptrend. Uptrends are bullish. So that's XLE. Let's take a look at USO. All right, wow, look at USO. Up here in quadrant 4, that's definitely bullish. Closing up over the trap, that's bullish. Over the 17, bullish. Over this 3-year high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. If price structure can hold the higher ground 4 or 5 days, look for a breakout to the upside. Not sure that's going to get done. That looks kind of hyperbolic. Chances are price starts coming down after that candle up there. All right. I know there's a name for that. I think it's a gravestone, or it's not a doji. I know that, but that looks like it's the sword. All right. So we'll see what happens with that. Anyways, price up over the downtrend line 1, the 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line up in quadrant 4, making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish USO. Nat gas, UNG. All right, nat gas got a inside day, lower high, higher low, closing inside a bullish trap over the flat 17, under downtrend line 1, under all-time high, 12-month high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. Down here in the lower third, that's bearish. Again, leaning on the uptrend line right here. Okay, and held down by the downtrend line right here. Okay, so that's still bearish because we're in the lower third. Okay, if you were in the upper third, you'd be bullish. Still in the lower third, so still bearish on UNG. Let's take a look at GLD. Sold my GLD calls today. Higher low, higher high, closing over the trap. That's bullish. That looks like a new high. That high is 317.60. That high is 317.63. So no cigar, but evidently it's a valid attack on the all-time high. Price over the all-time high anchored VWAP, over the trap, over the 17, up in quadrant 4, over the uptrend line. All of that is bullish. You can see price moves up and holds the higher ground. Quadrant 4, bullish. Making higher lows and higher highs. That's an uptrend. Okay, so price looking good. Consolidating over here to the right. Let's take a look at SLV. Silver got I got to zoom way in here. All right, the high is 33.08. The high is 33.06. So lower high, lower low, closing inside a bearish trap over the rising 17. Okay, so inside the bearish trap is neutral. Over the rising 17 is bullish. All right, over the all-time. The 12-year high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line here. This is the last time we were up there at the 12-year high. Was price right here. You can see. Then we tried it again right here, and now we are breaking out to new highs here in this silver rally. Price action quadrant 4. That's bullish. Higher lows, higher highs. That's an uptrend. Price action looking good for silver. Uptrend and bullish up here in quadrant 4. Let's take a look at SMH. SMH up in quadrant 4. That's bullish. Okay, over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. Price action closing inside the bullish trap, that's neutral. Over the rising 17, that's bullish. Everything looking good here on SMH. All right, let's take a look at XLK. Technology, quadrant 4, bullish. All right, price action closing inside a bearish trap or bullish trap. Closing inside the trap, that's bullish. Over the 17, that's bullish. Over the uptrend line, bullish. And over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's also bullish. So price action looking good here on XLK. Let's take a look at XLF. All right, XLF got a lower high and a lower low, closing underneath a bearish trap underneath the 17. Underneath, those are both neutral, all right, because we're in a neutral zone. Well, not in a neutral zone. We haven't quite yet proved ourselves. We haven't seen any action yet. So there's XLF. Got closing in quadrant 4. I'll zoom out. That's bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's bullish. Price action moving up, holding that higher ground. That's bullish right there. XLF. And in an uptrend. Higher lows, higher highs. That's an uptrend. Let's take a look at IYT is the last one. All right, here's IYT. Transport's always been giving us a problem this week or during this rally. Got a lower high and a lower low, closing under a trap, under the 17, on the midpoint, under the uptrend line there. And price action is making higher lows and higher highs. That's bullish. You can see price moves up here and over to the right. That's bullish. If they could make it into the upper third, that would be bullish right there. If they could make it into the upper third right now, no cigar. Just not enough mojo, not enough spinach, not enough mustard on that. All right, so IYT looking good, holding that higher ground. I'd much rather see it in quadrant 4, but at least it's not moving down. So that's in an uptrend, making higher lows and higher highs. All right, traders, that's it for me for today. If you got some questions, I'll take a peek at them. And we got a few questions here. Let's see what we got. And Alpha Dog bought some SPY June 20 calls down here. Nice work. USO calls to hedge case in Israel. All right. Houthis getting in the act. No surprise there. They can disrupt shipping and the flow of oil in the Straits. Well, not if they want to deal with America's Air Force, but we'll see what happens. Sold some gold this morning. I followed that with you, Alpha Dog Robert, and Mel, and me. Mel's asking me, do I expect silver to go higher or to go lower? Higher. I expect silver to go higher. You may have missed my T2122. If you don't mind covering that again. Yeah, I just did it. You could also cover Tesla. All right, so Mel wants me to take a look at Tesla. All right, so Tesla is, let's look at the facts, Mel. We're not in quadrant 3. We're just barely hanging on to quadrant 2. And if you look, we made a couple appearances here in quadrant 1 recently. Right there, even recently.